I think film for me is kind of a magic world where you're able to control all the elements and almost kind of paint a picture.
Why this type of filmmaking, why this kind of low budget type of filmmaking that's location based, that sets an Irish very much in the real world and not fantasy world? Yeah. Well, because that's the kind of things we like. And we don't like fantasy films, we like films that are about the sort of poetry and comedy of everyday life. And so I think Heart by Paradise very much is about the poetry and comedy of everyday life.
When we were making the film, a lot of it was about trying to find a quiet space where you're in Celeste, the main character's head, and it has that feeling of just somebody walking home from a night out, or then, quietly reflecting upon their day on a laptop. It's very hard to create this realism and that feeling of melancholy. So I think a lot of it was within the film. We have these long passages of almost quite dreamy poetry sections where you're kind of left as an audience to kind of make up your own mind. And we kind of wanted to kind of shut the world away, even though we portrayed London in it quite a lot. We kind of wanted there to be almost like a musical voiceover, just soundtrack to the film.
Yeah, Greta's character Celeste in the film is a poet, and so she's trying to get her book published, and she's being rejected by the very snobby agents and publishers, and that's sort of like the beginning of the story. Her internal monologue, the voice in her head is portrayed in the film, and that is both the poem she's writing and her talking to herself, sort of coaching herself, reflecting internally. And I think that internal monologue, I can, if it works, bring it closer to reality, because in real life you do sort of have a little voice in your head as you go around the world and you take part in conversations, but you also sort of talk to yourself in your head a little bit. And that's, I think, something that we try to bring in quite a realistic way, hopefully, and I think people sort of recognise that.
I just wanted to tell a story about almost normal women who just end up failing at the things that they desperately want to do, but because of that they end up finding each other, and actually their friendship is kind of the love story of the film. And I think a lot of life is like that. You come in contact with people who you don't necessarily think will be as meaningful as they are, and through some way or another, life is random. And I kind of wanted to make something which almost felt ordinarily hopeful, that actually it's okay to fail, and it's okay to but also have big dreams. I think for me, I started sort of acting young and performing young, but poetry was always something I did privately, and it was always something I kind of didn't want to show anyone, and wrote to my room and hid it under the bed. But I think only later have I realised that actually when I write poetry, I often say it to myself, and I think poetry is a phonetic language. You write words to be spoken, and then recently, performing it and getting on stage, you kind of end up embodying different people, whether or not you choose to or not. I definitely have. But I think it's both art forms kind of come from that same place of, I guess, finding it, I don't know, discovering a character or discovering something about yourself. I definitely feel that for me, the films I love are sort of very simple films, ultimately about people, and where not much happens, but within their world, it feels huge. So I think I like going away, watching a film, and then being quietly surprised later on when sort of scenes come back to you, and you remember things, and maybe they haven't hit you straight away, but I don't know, they sort of seem to be there kind of like friends or like memories you've lived yourself. So I definitely feel that the films I love do that.
We're interested in making indie films that are a bit clever and also make you laugh. We don't want to make these turgid things that necessarily require sort of like 3 hours of complete and utter concentration and existential crisis, because I think there's enough existential crisis in real life these days. Yeah. And actually, I'm quite interested, the kind of films that we really like are films like Little and I, which is, it's clever, but it's really funny. This is a very London film, Purple Paradise. There's a couple of films that are not that famous, but are films that we both really like Wonderland by Michael Winterbottom, and a film by Hannah Qureshi called London Kills Me from the 90s that were sort of inspirations. It's about the city pretty much the way it is. It's about a sort of like bohemian London that the characters do their best to stumble through, and they fail sometimes, but that's okay. And there's conversations in the party scene that are like the kind of conversations you overhear at a party that you think are really funny, and hopefully there's like 5 or 6 laughs in the film. They're not like staged jokes, but they're like funny little moments that make you think, well, in the end, life is tough, but life is funny. Got to laugh.